West Asia operates under a constant, low-grade hum of geopolitical tension. Borders here represent deep historical fault lines, and the balance of power is famously fragile. For decades, one state has maintained a decisive, albeit unacknowledged, military advantage. Israel is the region's sole nuclear-armed power. Then there is Iran. Operating at the absolute edge of weapons capability, Tehran controls an advanced nuclear infrastructure, utilizing massive banks of silver centrifuges to process raw nuclear material. Watching both of these nations closely is the third pillar of this regional triangle, Saudi Arabia, and they are growing increasingly alarmed by the capabilities of their neighbors. This three-way standoff is the baseline reality of the modern Middle East. A single shift in the nuclear capability of any one of these nations represents an immediate, existential threat to the other two. That shift is happening now. Washington and Riyadh have signed a legally binding 30-year peaceful nuclear cooperation agreement. The diplomatic math makes sense for the United States. American energy companies secure massive profits, and the agreement pulls the Saudi government away from the growing influence of Russia and China. But the details of the text, leaked to the press, reveal a critical concession. The deal allegedly allows Saudi Arabia to enrich uranium domestically, right on its own sovereign soil. This specific capability takes on a completely different weight when you recall what Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman stated publicly in 2018. If Iran develops a nuclear bomb, Saudi Arabia will follow suit as soon as possible. By permitting domestic enrichment under the banner of a civilian energy deal, the United States is handing Riyadh the exact raw materials and infrastructure required to build an atomic weapon. To understand why this specific concession carries so much risk, we have to look at the legal mechanism behind it, Section 123 of the U.S. Atomic Energy Act. Historically, the United States demands strict non-proliferation terms before sharing nuclear technology. The benchmark for this is the Gold Standard Agreement signed with the United Arab Emirates in 2009. Under the 2009 terms, the UAE agreed to rely on imported nuclear fuel. The path to domestic enrichment is firmly blocked. The Saudi demands dismantle that restriction, opening a direct pathway for raw material to flow into a local enrichment cycle. Controlling the fuel cycle is the only physical safeguard against proliferation. Once a nation possesses the legal right and scientific infrastructure to enrich uranium for power, they have everything they need to build a bomb. So why would Washington agree to concede this crucial safeguard to Riyadh? The immediate answer is money. The agreement paves the way for massive, multi-billion-dollar contracts, throwing a financial lifeline to American nuclear technology companies. There are also serious questions regarding backroom conflicts of interest, specifically concerning the Trump Organization's hospitality ventures and cryptocurrency dealings tied directly to the kingdom. To push the deal through, proponents have suggested political guardrails. The main proposal requires Saudi Arabia to formally recognize Israel and join the Abraham Accords before receiving any nuclear technology. The problem with this leverage is that Israel is terrified of a Saudi nuclear program. Diplomatic recognition does not erase the military threat of an enriched uranium stockpile next door. Because of those deep security concerns, ratifying this agreement in the U.S. Congress is going to be a brutal uphill legislative battle. The Pact is trapped in a geopolitical paradox. The exact diplomatic concessions designed to make the deal politically palatable are fiercely opposed by the allies. Those concessions are meant to protect. If Congress actually ratifies this text, the global standard for nuclear non-proliferation is permanently broken. As this diagram shows, it all comes down to the dual-use dilemma. The physical hardware is identical. Centrifuges used to create 5% civilian fuel can simply run longer, producing 90% weapons-grade material. Without strict international inspections, an observer cannot prove a country hasn't bypassed the civilian limit and pushed straight into the weapon zone. Unchecked domestic enrichment gives Saudi Arabia a turnkey weapons program. It is a fully assembled bomb-making apparatus, sitting completely dormant until the regime decides to flip the switch. Which brings us right back to the fragile power triangle of the Middle East. If Saudi Arabia activates that turnkey program, Iran will inevitably accelerate its own nuclear timeline to maintain parity. That acceleration forces Israel into a dangerous corner, where a preemptive military strike becomes their most logical option. This reveals the ultimate irony of the American strategy. In the pursuit of short-term diplomatic victories and energy profits, Washington is risking permanent global instability. Marketed to the world as a pathway to clean energy and peace, this agreement serves as the starting gun for the most dangerous nuclear arms race of the 21st century.